Hello, my math students. This is your teacher, Mr. Sandell, with our math lesson for you. This lesson we're going to look at if we can replace mixed numbers with equivalent fractions using fraction models. Now, there's a few key words of vocabulary that we might want to just refresh you in our I can't statement. First off, a mixed number is an example right here. This is a mixed number because you have a whole and a fraction. Both of those, when they're together, make a mixed number. If it weren't a mixed number, it would just be a whole or it would just be a fraction, but together they make a mixed number. Now, an equivalent fraction is a fraction that equals 1/2, but is typically broken up into more pieces. Your denominator would be different, as would your numerator. And fraction models, we're going to use pictures to explain this idea today. So let's take a look at our fraction wall. We're going to look at a half. So when you're doing equivalent fractions, you don't have to do anything with the wholes. We just have to really look at our fraction, which would be 1/2. Now here's your fraction wall, alright? So from this end to this end would be 1 whole. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1 whole. Alright, so we're just going to look at 1/2. So here's 1/2 right here, goes all the way to the middle of the paper, or half of it. Now let's see if there's anything that would equal 1/2. Well, we look right underneath it and see that there is one that ends at the exact same spot as 1/2. So see it, it's 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 1/2. So 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2/4. That is an equivalent fraction of 1/2. Let's see if eighths work. 1/8 plus 1/8 is 2/8, 3/8, 4/8 also equals 1/2. Now let's see if thirds. 1/3, 2/3. Well, doesn't look like 2/3 equals 1/2, so that's not true. Let's see sixes. 1/6, 2/6, 3/6 equals 1/2. 1/12, 2/12, 3/12, 4/12, 5/12, 6/12 equals 1/2. As you can see, for 1/2, the numerator is just half of your denominator. So 4/8 would be an equivalent fraction of 1/2. Now, let me show you another cool strategy that you could use to also find equivalent fractions for 1/2. This is a multiplication table, just a standard multiplication table. So if you want to find equivalent fractions for 1/2, you'll look on your vertical row right here, and you'll find the numbers 1/2, which are at the top here. And you'll slide your fingers over. There's 1/2. Next one will be 2/4, 3/6, 4/8, and so on. You can go the whole way across. Alright? So if we were creating an equivalent fraction for 2 and 1/2, some of our possibilities could be like we just looked at. 2 wholes and 4/8 is equivalent. It's an equivalent fraction. You could do 2 wholes and 10/20. Those are all equivalent fractions to 2 and 1/2. Now let's take a look at a different fraction than mixed number than 2 and 1/2. Let's use the mixed number 1 and 2/3. So we want to see if we can find the equivalent fraction for 1 and 2/3 using a visual. So let's take a look at our fraction wall again. Like I said, we don't have to do anything with the wholes, but let's find 2/3 on our fraction wall. So if we start here, here's 1/3, and here's 2/3, which ends right there. Now, is there any other fractions that end at the same spot as 2/3? Well, we can obviously see that an eighth doesn't. We can see that a fourth doesn't, or a half. So none of those works. However, if we look right below it, it looks like the 6 does. So let's see if a 6 equal 2/3. 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6 equals 2/3. There's another one actually underneath that as well. Looks like 12ths. So let's see how many 12ths will equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 12ths is also equal to 2/3. Now we can also use a multiplication table. So you got to find 2/3 on your vertical row, which is right here. There's your 2/3, 4 6, 6/9, 8 12ths, 10/15. Any one of these are equivalent fractions. So you could do 1 and what did we say here? 4/6 could be an example. 1 whole and 8 12ths. These are all the ways you could use fraction models to find equivalent fractions. Hope I've challenged you after this lesson.